Hello.
We're here
How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Here with
Awesome.
Cheyne Goulden with LivefoodDtox. So we are extremely excited that he's here to share his story with us and just help guide us again with answering some questions with his knowledge that we've been getting a little bit in group. So thanks, Cheyne.
My pleasure. It's a great thing to be able to help people and share the knowledge, and I really enjoy it. So thanks for the opportunity to come onto your show.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
We want to hear about you and your story first a little bit here, Cheyne, and kind of what brought you to where you are now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. My story is that I come from Australia. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and I went through university and I was studying marketing and things, and I went out to the world and started working as a marketing consultant. And for the first, I guess 20 years of my life, I was just having the standard diet. Wasn't really health conscious, so I was eating, the normal foods. Meat and dairy and that kind of thing. And as a result, like growing up as a child, I was always kind of unwell. I didn't realize it at the time because that was just my life. But I grew up with chronic asthma and eczema, and always sick, always having tonsillitis, always having a sore throat, constantly having sinus blockages. Always, I would buy tissues a box of tissues every couple of days because I was just always going through tissues. I was on, asthma inhalers that you would turn and, inhale, and I was on steroidal creams for my skin, and my body was just struggling. I grew up with cats in the house, and there was dust in the house, and the diet that we were eating was just the standard diet. Like my mum was cooking and things, it was great food, but it was just meat and dairy and all the standard stuff that is I found out since is really no good for us. So basically what ended up happening for me was that I went to an event in about 2004. It was a Tony Robbins event. It was called Awaken. It was Unleash the Power Within. It was a 3 or 4 day live training with Tony Robbins, who really is the father of the whole. He's one of the main guys in the personal development world. You've probably seen him on the TV or late night infomercials. He's an amazing guy. And anyway, I went to his event because I was just really struggling. I was 24, really overweight, really unhealthy, really stressed. I had high blood pressure. I had kind of pre-diabetes. I was unhealthy, and the doctors were worried I was going to either have a heart attack or a stroke or have some other problem that was going on. And I was kind of depressed. I had tried a business at that time before and it didn't work out. And I was just very emotional, very stressed. And anyway, so I go to this Tony Robbins event, and on the final day of the course, he has a health day. And the health day, I wasn't even really going to stay for it. I was kind of like, do I stay? Do I go home? And I just thought, no, I'll just stay and listen and have an open mind and see what he says. And the health day was really talking all about the problems with eating meat and the value of a vegan-based diet or a vegetarian diet. And he showed a lot of footage from slaughterhouses about what goes on in these slaughterhouses and how the dairy cows are treated and how this whole factory farming system works. It was kind of like a mini version of the movie Earthlings or Food Inc. that have come out today. I saw a similar version to that back in 2004, and I was like shocked. What it actually did at that time was it changed the Neuro association in my whole body and my neurology, which in the past was meat and dairy equals pleasure. And in that moment, it changed it to meat and dairy equals pain. It equals torture. It equals murder. It equals like health problems. It equals heart attacks. It equals all the health problems we could ever imagine is because of the body is eating the food we're not meant to eat. And that was the turning point for me. This is back in 2004. So that was like 11 years ago now. And he said, go home and do a 30-day challenge. And for 30 days, I want you to have no meat, no alcohol, which is the other big thing I hadn't mentioned. I was drinking a hell of a lot with my friends, with my mates, beer, wine, Friday night, Saturday night, getting totally wasted, totally smashed, totally poleaxed, whatever you want to call it, just totally annihilated every Friday and Saturday night. That was my life. I would work during the week and get ready for a big Friday night and just party on and basically continue partying right through the weekend and wake up Monday with a massive hangover and then go through the work week. And it was just creating a hell of a lot of stress. All of this stuff that was going on in my body emotionally, the stress of what was going on, I was using alcohol and food as a coping mechanism, really, now that I look back at it. I was drugging myself with a socially acceptable drug. Food, cooked food, meat is the number one socially acceptable drug on the planet. The number two drug that is socially acceptable is alcohol. And I was using both of them like an absolute crack addict, uncontrollably, like all the time. And my body was really struggling. So anyway, I go at home and I try this diet for 30 days. I say, I'm going to give it a try. No meat, no alcohol, no dairy, no milk. And I'm going to just I was basically eating salads. Tony was really big on green alkalizing and, fruit, a little bit of fruits here and there, but it was more really a green-based diet, salads, green superfoods, some smoothies and a little bit of fruit, but it was basically, I think at the time I might have still been having a little bit of salmon here and there. I think in my transition I was having a bit of fish, a bit of salmon a couple of times, but basically that's what I was doing. And anyway, within the month, I lost so much weight. I had so much energy coming back into my body. I looked amazing. I think when I went to Tony Robbins, I weighed close to 100 kilos, which is I think 215 pounds or something like that. And then after that 30 days, I think I'd gotten down to about 85, 86 kilos. So I lost about 15 kilos, which is close to 30 pounds roughly. And I just felt amazing. And I knew at that point that this was something that I was going to keep doing and I was going to continue. And Tony Robbins said something interesting at the end of that event. He said, this is just the beginning. This is not the end. This is the starting point for your health journey and for the rest of your life. And after that, I just became really fascinated about health, and I was going to all the health lectures you could imagine. I went and saw a guy called Don Tolman who came to Australia and toured around, and I went to every lecture that he gave, and he was talking about how there's a river running through our bodies. The ancient people used to believe that we have a river running through our bodies, and it ran from the mouth, through the alimentary canal, all the way through the digestive system and then out the back door. And this was the river. It was a river of life if you fed it life-giving foods that would nurture your body, or it was a river of death if you put toxins and dead food into your body. And so he said the ancient people believe that life begets life. If you make a sacred offering of something alive into your body, it creates a river of life which nurtures all the cells in your body and creates life. Whereas if you bring death into the body, dead food, processed food, bad food, it's dead, it's cooked, it can only beget death. And so all these classic lines that I was picking up and these insights from people like Don Tolman and Tony Robbins, and I learned the doctrine of signatures from Don Tolman, which was this idea that nature shows us the type of foods that we can eat for certain parts of our body. And he explains how like a cashew has a hard outer casing, and then you crack that open, it has two hemispheres, kind of like the brain. The brain has a skull and it has a left and right hemisphere. And so the ancient people believed that the cashew was a good brain food. It had all the amino acids or whatever acids it needed for the brain. And all this modern science is now proving that when you have one cashew, you create 24 new neural pathways in the brain with all of the specific omega-3 oils and 6 oils, whatever the oils are. Somehow that is a brain food. So he's explaining how this old ancient knowledge is now even more valuable and true today. And, you look at celery. Celery is kind of long. It looks like a bone. It kind of sounds like a bone. If it snaps, it's kind of got the exact amount of sodium as the bones do. And so celery they thought was bone food. So he would have people eat celery who had broken bones and they were healing. And now all the science is now proving how good celery is for the bones, and it goes on and on. The heart is red like a tomato. A tomato has 4 chambers like the heart. And now tomatoes are known to be good heart food. The avocado, it's sort of, if you cut it open, it looks like a baby in the womb, and it takes exactly 9 months from flower to the full ripened avocado. So it was thought to be great for females who were going through pregnancy, and it was perfect for pregnant women. And now again, it's proven that avocados are one of the best things you can eat if you're pregnant. All the oils and things it does, lubricates the everything. It's an amazing food. So this was just blowing my mind, and I was experimenting with all sorts of different diets back then. This is now 2006, 2007, and I was doing juice fasting. I started getting into doing 30-day juice fasting on like beetroot, apple, and lemon, and I would just do 30 days of juice. And everyone thought I was crazy. I was just drinking juice and not having anything else, and I was so energized and so full of passion and strength. I remember I was doing this boot camp once. I was living in Hawthorne in Melbourne, and one of the boot camp things that we had to do was we were on a big football oval with grass, and we had to do the wheelbarrow walk, where you put your hands on the ground and then someone lifts up your legs. And we all started, so they broke the groups in 2, and one person was holding the other people's legs, and they were walking. And I was the first time I did it, I was holding my partner's legs, and he must have walked 30, 40 meters, and he was kind of like the longest in that first group. Everyone else made 10, 20 meters or whatever. And then I was just feeling so good. I was like day 25 into a juice fast, and all I'd eaten was juice. And I get out there and I get on my hands, and I'm just like feeling so strong. I get to like the 50-meter mark. I'm like, I'm going to keep going. I get to the 100-meter mark. I'm going to keep going. And everybody now is walking behind me and clapping. I get to the middle of the oval, and they're going, yes, this has never been done before. I get to the next 100-meter. I get all the way to the end of the oval, and everybody is like clapping and like celebrating, and like, that's never ever been done. Here, I've done this boot camp for 10 years. I've never ever seen that before. What are you doing? How are you doing that? I'm like, dude, I'm not eating any food. I'm fasting on juice, like apple, lemon, and beet. And he's like, wow, how is that even possible? And he started calling me the push-up king after that. He was like, you're just amazing. And it was all just from the energy in my body. And so I just got more and more kind of understanding about how all this stuff works. I became vegetarian. So back in, it would have been around 2005, I kind of stopped having any of the fish or whatever I was doing very shortly after I began. And, vegetarian foods, doing a lot of, starting to do cleansing. I was working at the time as a marketing consultant, and I was really interested in working with health companies. And one of the first companies I worked with was a detox company back in Australia. And so part of my job was doing all this research about detoxification to try and help sell their detox protocols. And so I had to learn all about heavy metal detoxification and cadmium and zinc and mercury poisoning and how that works in the body and where it comes from and how do we start to detox these metals out. And so I was like getting immersed in the detox world. And then I started applying some of the things that I learned from that company. And so I continued going down the path. And I think what happened with me was that I kind of, as life was going on and I was transitioning in my career, so I moved from being a marketing consultant to I started working more in the property and real estate space, and I started getting more stress coming into my life. And what happened was I started drinking a little bit of alcohol again. So I'd never really cut the alcohol out. In Australia, it's a huge cultural thing. It's part of life. You play football, you play cricket, and you drink beer. That's what you do as an Australian man. And you eat meat pies, and you have a barbecue. That's just what everybody does. And so I'd let go of the meat and the dairy, but I was still kind of having a bit of the beer, and I started, the more stress that came in, I started having a bit more beer, and I started having, problems again. So I started getting the high blood pressure coming up again. I was seeing a naturopathic doctor, and every time I would go in there, she would take my blood pressure, and it would be, really high. Like I'm talking, I can't remember the exact numbers, but the bottom number was always 90 to 100. over 140, 160, and she was freaking out. And I was having coffee at the time with soy lattes, and to get energy to do this work and to the stress. And so I was kind of doing things right, but I was also making some mistakes. And then I started researching about, I followed a guy called Tim Ferriss for a while, who wrote a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. And he came out with this amazing book called The 4-Hour Body. And I thought, wow, this is getting amazing results with this book. And so I'm going to give it a try. And his book was all about no fruit, high protein. It was basically, I would eat, it was like, what was it? It was kind of like some tofu and things like that, lentils, beans. It was that kind of stuff. And I was still having eggs at that point. So I was having eggs, tofu, lentils, beans, a little bit of broccoli, no fruit, no nothing. And that's where I started. I did that for a while, and I lost a bit of weight. So that was my goal, was to lose a bit of weight. Somehow I was losing weight because it was the whole Atkins principle. You're starving the body of the sugars and the carbs, and now it's got to burn the fat to get to the sugars, and now you're losing fat. So you're getting a certain result, but at the consequence of becoming more acidic, and at the consequence of becoming more acid and ruining the kidneys.
Cheyne, I just had a question. How were you physically feeling at that point? Were you having pain physically at all?
I was just feeling good that I was losing weight. I was kind of excited about that. And I was going to the gym as well. So I started I'm sort of trying to condense 10 years of journey of things into a couple of 10-minute summary, but I was feeling pretty good. I've had a background of working through depression, and so that was always coming up and down, and dealing with emotional challenges, and so I was, at times I would feel good, and then at times I would be kind of down and depressed a little bit and have no energy. I remember there was times where I just couldn't even get myself up to go to the gym. I was kind of exhausted, it makes sense when you have no carbohydrates, no sugars coming in, and no life force energy. That's the big problem with the Tim Ferriss low carb diet, is there's no life force in it. And you look at Tim now, he's lost all his hair, he's gone completely bald because of all the high amounts of, my theory is the high amount of acidity in the slow carb diet. It's kind of, there's no life force in it. There's no life force energy. He eats microwaved egg whites, and this kind of crap. There's nothing really in it. It doesn't, you lose weight, you get certain results with muscle mass and things, but at what cost? Just like Atkins, a lot of people lost weight, and a lot of people also died with the Atkins no sugar, high protein diet. Is it effective? Yes. Is it deadly? Yes. So that's the whole thing. I guess, just to summarize my, finish up and close this up and move on to the next kind of questions and things, but my journey went through a period where back in around 2008, 2009, I was experiencing significant amount of stress and significant amount of depression, and I was having coffee to kind of wake myself up and get energy, and basically I burnt my adrenals out. I reached a point back in 2009, 2010, where I just couldn't get out of bed for significant periods of time. I had no energy whatsoever, totally flatlined, totally depressed, couldn't get myself to do anything, and I was really in a serious pickle. And I felt like there was no way out. I've made a few videos talking about this, but I felt like there was really no way out of the situation I was in. I had absolutely no energy to even think. And that's where you start to realize that the actual process of thinking even requires energy. To sit here and talk right now, it's energy. Even though you're not running around the block, you're actually burning energy to function the brain, to get the mind to think. It takes energy. I didn't even have that energy to think. I would be laying there in almost like a coma, unable to do anything. I couldn't even go outside to collect my mail for months. My mum had to come around and come inside with a box of mail that was all laying outside because I just couldn't do anything. And it was a mixture of adrenal fatigue, depression, stress, high blood pressure. I had no idea what was going on with my body. Here I am, I'm already vegetarian. I'm kind of like doing everything I think right. I'm dealing with all this emotional trauma, really not dealing with it too well at all this stress, not coping with it. But I was eating a vegetarian diet and I was sick as a dog in bed. And so out of frustration, everybody was saying, go and see the doctor, go and get your tests done, go and take antidepressants. You go see the doctor, they're like, yeah, you've got depression, you need to take antidepressants. I'm like, I know enough about health and I believe in healing the body enough not to do that. There has to be some positive that will come out of my situation, and I've got to learn something and I've got to figure it out. And, I'm a stubborn Taurus and I just was not going to take any medication ever. Yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm going to figure this out. And so what happened in my journey was over the course of 3, 4, 5 years, figuring out how to heal myself. And that was a mixture of learning all the things that I'd learned in the past, revisiting those things, but also coming across Dr. Robert Morse. And that would have been around late 2011, 2012, when I first watched one of his videos on YouTube. It was a suggested video that popped up, and it said how your eyes can go from brown to blue through a detoxification. That was the very first video I'd ever watched. Didn't know who Dr. Morse was. I just thought, that's amazing. I can't believe that eyes can change. I want to hear this guy. This is ridiculous. And I watched this video. The first moment I hear Dr. Morse's voice and I feel his energy just come over me, it's just like a wave of joy, and I had like tingles up and down my spine. I felt like electricity coming through me. I'm like, yes, this is the next mentor that you will learn from. And I was like, okay, I'm going to focus all my energies on Dr. Morse. And so from that point on, I became Dr. Morse obsessed. I watched every single video of his on YouTube. I took notes. I was like a man possessed, like watching his videos all day. I didn't have anything else to do. I was in bed. I wasn't able to work, so I had time on my side. So all I could do was invest in my consciousness, raising my consciousness, learning, growing, and figuring out what the hell was going on. And the more and more and more I learned from Dr. Morse, I saw exactly, very clearly what was happening with my body. And he started to explain about the kidneys and how they are very important for removing the acids out of the body. And I started looking at my kidneys and thinking, well, hang on, I've had high blood pressure my whole life. Whenever you have high blood pressure, especially that bottom number, when that bottom number is above 60, it should be the perfect blood pressure is 120/60. The bottom number shows the kidney function. If that bottom number is above 60, like 70, that means you've got quite a bit of inflammation in the kidneys, acidosis in the kidneys. If it's 80, wow, you've got a lot of acidosis and inflammation in the kidneys. When it's up to 90, you're in real trouble. You've got significant weakness in the kidneys and everything's blocked up there. My blood pressure was on the bottom was 90 to 100. My kidneys were screwed. So my whole life they've been like that. And my whole life I've had these bags under my eyes. I was going to the pharmacist and buying makeup to put under my eyes because I was just having these huge black circles under my eyes all through high school. I was like, why? Everybody looked at my eyes and what, did you get punched in the eye? I'm like, no, I don't know what's going on. Like, it was just chronically weak kidneys my whole life. And then I look at the next biggest thing Dr. Morse talks about, the adrenal glands. Do you have emotional challenges? Do you feel severely anxious? Do you have these low energy? Yes, 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 yes. Look at your eyes. Do you have the nerve rings in the eyes? Yes. It's like a home run. I've got adrenal weakness. Oh my God. So I've got chronic weak kidneys. I didn't have a clue about it. No doctor ever mentioned that. I've got chronically weak adrenals. Yeah, definitely. So now I've got my two biggest systems weak and struggling. That's what's causing all my problems. So I was like, okay, I've got to fix this. And so I spent, the next few months following his protocols, which was 100% raw fruits, melons and berries all day, salads at night, as best I could. I was still craving cooked foods and I was still craving potatoes, all the normal things we all kind of crave at times. And I would have those when I just had to, but I was doing my best to kind of work through it. I started taking a range of adrenal and kidney herbs, different things for the adrenals. I started making all these different teas and tinctures and decoctions and things, herbal remedies, and I just flooded my body with massive amounts of herbs. And I started meditating. I went off and did a Vipassana meditation because I learned how the adrenals were connected to the fight or flight mechanism in the body, and how all the stress that you're holding and the emotions you're holding in the body are draining the adrenal glands. So I went and did a 10-day Vipassana silent retreat, and I sat there in my Vipassana, and I just, at one point, my whole body disintegrated and I became wavelets of energy. I wasn't a physical body anymore. I was just a bundle of vibrant energy pulsing, and I felt pure love and joy. And I knew that the truth was that, I'm not my physical body. I'm not. I'm definitely not. This is an illusion. Our physical body, all your bodies at home, it's not real. It's a freaking illusion. It really is. All we are is a wave of dynamic energy. We're an energy field. And this energy pulsates, and it pulsates, real quick, and it has the illusion of being fixed and solid, but it's not. Nothing in our body is solid, because I just felt it. I totally went back to that level of the wave vibration. And so that was like a huge epiphany. But what I learned through the Vipassana was how to not create the stress, because I was creating the stress I was having no awareness. So things were happening. I wasn't aware of what was going on. And then I was reacting to everything. I was constantly reacting to every single thing that happened to me, which every time you react, creates stress. I was creating my adrenal fatigue through my lack of awareness, through my constant reaction to the world around me. And so that's what the meditation helped me to do, was to come back to a place of equanimity, balance, awareness, and to heal those adrenals. I don't feel anybody can really heal the adrenals without learning to meditate, because you're constantly creating the problem. The constant problem of the adrenals is tied to the emotional body. The adrenals control the emotional body. So if you're emotionally a mess and you're stressed and you're angry and you're pissed and you're upset all the time, then that's constantly draining your adrenals. Doesn't matter how many freaking herbs you take, how much fruit you eat. If you're always angry and just pissed off at the neighbor for putting the car where I put my car, and then he put the garbage bin where I'm supposed to put mine, and God damn it, if you're walking around like that, you're never going to heal anything. You know what I mean? And that was what I was like. I was pissed off all the time. I was angry. I was frustrated. I was like, punching walls. I was like, just a beast. And it was just in my body. I had to okay, let's move through this energy. Let's kind of chill out a little bit. Nothing really matters, Well, I learned from the meditation, it doesn't matter. I was just giving away too many shits about everything. Too many shits were given every moment of every day. And I was losing my balance, freaking the hell out, stressing myself out and raising my blood pressure, firing up for no reason. And so that was a huge part of it. I think anybody who has any health issue, health problem, just sit there and freaking meditate. Just close your eyes, focus on your breath, and literally watch the breath right at the nose, right at the nostrils. Just watch the breath come in and watch the breath go out. That's all you got to do. Just keep watching the breath and watch it come out. Just watch the breath. Now, as you're doing that, you're building the muscle of awareness. You're becoming aware of something in your body. I'm aware that I'm breathing. That's where it starts. This is where all healing begins, is right here. And then what happens as you start to meditate? Bing, a thought comes up. What am I going to do for lunch? What am I going to... Oh, it's getting a bit hungry. Well, there's the mind. Okay, that's the cause of all your suffering. Monkey mind, out of control mind. Now you've got to start to learn to observe the mind. Look at my mind go. Wow. And this is what happened for me in my Vipassana journey, was that I sat down and within an hour, I would have had 100 thoughts, and they were all negative thoughts. What am I doing here? This is ridiculous. What a waste of time. I've got a sore back. My legs are painful. This is never going to work. Look at that guy there. He's sitting there in full lotus. He's like a freaking yogi. I can't even cross my legs. I'm not designed for meditation. How can I possibly do this? Why isn't anybody possibly realizing how much pain I'm in? I'm moving all around. No one's coming to me. No one's helping me. No one's even realizing I'm in all this pain. I can't do this. I'm going to have to leave tonight. I'm going to leave. This is how I'm going to leave. I'm going to talk to the guy. I'm going to pack my bags. I'm going to leave. I'm definitely out of here. I can't do this. This is stupid. This is freaking ridiculous. This Buddha doesn't even know what he was talking about. This was my mind, like boom, 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 and I was just going. That's the cause of all my suffering, right there. The habit pattern of the mind. Whoa! Look at this freaking mind, out of control. Focused on all the negative things. Focused on the worst things possible. Focused on my pain, focused on being such a victim. That was me. Whoa, hello Cheyne, here you are. Wow, that's the cause of all the pain I've had in my whole life right there.
I'm worn out just listening.
Yeah, I know, that was it. So I had to learn to build the awareness of the thoughts. And this doesn't need to be a whole talk about meditation, but this is kind of like my journey this has been a foundation of all the work that I do with everybody. Every client I ever work with, number one lesson, number one step is let's meditate together. Oh, but I can't meditate. I tried it before. Sit the fuck down. Shut up. Oh, no, I'd rather just pray or do something. No, shut up. You can still pray. Close your eyes. Because this is what the ego does. The ego protects us from any change. The ego has got its grip over you with its things that it does and its processes. Anytime anything comes in which threatens the control structure of the ego, it puts up a hell of a fight. It doesn't want to do it. So I tell my clients, sit down and meditate for half an hour in the morning. 100% of the time they don't do it. It's like, why are you not doing it? Oh, I just, whatever the excuse is. The ego is stopping you from doing the very thing you need to do to heal your body, but it requires letting go of the mind. And the mind doesn't want to let go. It's so scared, it's so fearful. So that's it. Like, part of the journey is meditation. Part of the journey is healing and relaxing those adrenal glands, because really, healing is a feeling. I always say this to my clients. It's a feeling. You know when you're feeling good and you're laughing and you're feeling loved, that's a moment of healing. And you have to get your body into that healing feeling. And you can't do that when you're fearful. You can't do that when you're freaking out about everything and the doctors have said this and the doctors have said that and you're like out of control in fear. That's not a healing feeling. That's disease. That's dis-ease right there. You're creating it with the fear, with the worry, with the anxiety. Every time you're worried, every time you're scared, your adrenals are becoming weaker. You're ruining your body. You're getting worse. Every time you feel bad, you're getting worse. Yep, you are. You should be worried because you're making it worse. So you have to get back to the point where you just stop thinking, stop worrying, and let it all go for just an hour or half an hour, whatever you can do, and just allow the body to start to come back to itself. Slow down, slow the hell down, because the mind wants to go 100 miles an hour. It's a robot. What about this? What about that? I've got to do that. Oh my God, it's freaking out. That's the mind. Slow down. Everything is okay. Right now you're alive. You're breathing. Your heart is pumping. You have the life force running through you. You are God. You are a part of God. You are alive. You full of love, and just start to come back to the truth, because the mind, all the mind ever creates is lies. They're just illusions. It's telling you this, it's telling you that, but that's not real. It's all bullshit. Just got to slow it down, and now we can focus on what we need to go and do out in the world, which is in our bodies and things. We're going to start to eat the food. What have we got to do right now? Right now, you got to just make a smoothie. Okay, just get the blueberries out. Blueberries. Yes. I've got blueberries in my hand and now I'm pouring them into the jug. Yes. Totally present. Carry water, chop wood, the old philosophy. When you're carrying the water, you're carrying the water. When you're chopping the wood, you're chopping the wood. When you're pouring the blueberries into the smoothie, that's it. You do that with all the love and the life force and the presence that you've got. And you just pour those blueberries. Oh, there we go. And you're totally present, and there's no like, oh my God, freaking hell, I got to go. That's totally no presence. You're losing your power in that moment. So learning to be present, learning to just do what we're doing, and that's the key for me. I think any with my journey and things was all about coming back to that meditation, starting to follow Dr. Morse's approach, fruits, melons, berries, salads, and I went through a period where I applied that for a few months, and my body got better day by day. Literally day by day, I felt more energy coming in. I felt more awake, like I started waking up earlier. So one of the problems with adrenal fatigue is that your entire circadian rhythms, your sleep-wake cycles become totally out of sync, because that's what the adrenals control. And so one sign of your adrenals getting better is that you're able to wake up a little bit earlier, a little bit earlier, a little bit earlier. Eventually you can wake up at 7 or 6 a.m., and that's what started happening for me. I'm getting my systems back into alignment. Everything works together as well. So, Edgar Cayce, who was this famous, the sleeping prophet, they called him, he explained how everything in the body is vibration. And the vibration of one organ or system affects the other systems that it's connected to. So, for instance, if those adrenals are out of their natural vibration, they're freaking out, they're stressed, that affects the kidneys, because they're sitting right on top of the kidneys. So if they're freaking out, now the kidneys are freaking out. So now we should think of the kidney adrenals as one thing. that's kidney adrenals. They're together. Whatever happens to one happens to the other. If you have kind of healthy kidneys, but your adrenals are freaking out and weak, well, you've got weak kidneys, and vice versa. And so we start to learn to heal one system in our body after the other, and that's what started happening with me. I started measuring and monitoring my sediment, so you can pee in a glass jar, and you can start to see how much sediment is coming out of your body. And that's how much acid is coming out of the body. Big thing Dr. Morse talks about is our body's made up of 100 trillion cells, and the real problem that we have is that the wastes of those cells are not being eliminated fast enough. It's a problem of an elimination system. And so the way to check whether your elimination system is working is look at your wee in a jar. Let it sit for a day or 12 hours. If there's a big thick layer of sediment at the bottom of the jar, okay, your kidneys are working. If not, then your kidneys are struggling. And it took me 3 months to see any filtration of the kidneys, any filtration of the lymphatic waste. So my body was retaining its acids. It was accumulating day by day. So think of it this way: your body's 100 trillion cells. If your kidneys and adrenals are working at 100% function, that's your elimination, which comes through the lymphatic system, takes all the acids, eliminates it out through the urine, via the kidney adrenal capacity. Then if that's working really well, every day the waste of 100 trillion cells are being eliminated. Perfect. There's no waste to build up. However, if a bit of protein comes into your diet, that burns your kidneys a little bit. Now your kidneys are down to 90%. All right, well, the next day, only the waste of 90 trillion cells comes out of the body, is eliminated, but now you've accumulated 10 trillion, the waste of 10 trillion cells. Now the next day, let's say, you're a bit stressed, you've had a coffee, which freaks your adrenals out, overstimulates them. There's a bit of stuff going on living in the world we live in today. Now your adrenals go down by 10%, your kidneys are down by 10%, so now everything's down by 20%. So now you eliminate the waste of 80 trillion cells, but you retain an additional 20 trillion plus the 10 trillion from yesterday. Now you've accumulated the waste of 30 trillion cells stuck in the body. And this goes on and on and on for years and years, and it gets worse and worse and worse. My estimation is that 90% of people have chronically weak kidneys and adrenals. They just don't even know about it, if not more. Most people, the doctors say that the normal blood pressure is 120/80. That tells a lot, because 80 is very inflamed kidneys, very highly acidic kidneys, and when that bottom number is at 20, that automatically pushes the top number up by 20. So if you had healthy adrenals, it would actually be 140/80. So when we see 120/80 as the normal, that's chronically weak adrenals and chronically acidic, inflamed kidneys. That's what's normal. So what is normal is everybody's screwed with their adrenals and everybody's screwed with their kidneys, and they're walking around in a situation where they're accumulating their acids day by day. Now begins the disease scenario, because the body is acidic. It's like the fish tank. There was the metaphor I came up with a few years ago. The fish tank, the fish are just like the cells. The fish eat just like the cells eat. The cells are alive. They're like little babies, little fish. They eat and they do things and then they poop. Just like the fish. They eat, they do things and then they poop, or they wee. Every biological system in nature, the poop that comes out of it is acidic. Like a little baby, you leave the baby's diaper on it too long, the baby gets nappy rash, red, it's burning. Acids are hot, they burn. That's what happens in our body. That's what happens in the fish tank. If you didn't clean the fish poo and wee away from that fish tank for a month or two, you would have a huge buildup of acidic sludge at the bottom of that fish tank, which would be poisoning and creating acidosis in the fish tank. Now the fish are swimming in their own feces and they're burning in their own acids. That's what's happening in our bodies every day as we accumulate. Now we're weakening different things in the body. Now here's the interesting thing, is where the genetics comes into it. Whenever we have a weakness in the genetic structure of our body, that's where the acids burn first. So if you have a weakness in the breast, that's the acids get stuck in that region. The cells of the breast are unable to get the proper nutrition in, and they're unable to get the acids out of that region. It creates like a fortress around the cells, and the lymph doesn't flow properly, which means the acids can't get out properly. Now the cells are burning at the genetic weakness. So that's why we have issues, is because the body is accumulating its acids. If the person didn't have the accumulation of acids, that's what we would call as an epigenetic switch. So the epigenetics would be switched off for the gene expression of that cancer, and they wouldn't even notice it because there's no acidosis there to switch it on. This is the big interesting thing, is that as far as the epigenetic studies have gone so far, and that just means that your lifestyle and what you eat can change the expression of a weakness of a gene. So if you have, people used to believe that if we had weak genes in your family, like if your grandma had thyroid problems, a weak thyroid, then your mum had weak thyroid, you just had weak thyroid. It's your genes. That's what they used to believe. But now with epigenetics, it says that no, that's not the truth at all. The truth is, with epigenetics, your choices, your lifestyle, the food you eat, the amount of acidosis that you have in your body can switch that weakness off. It doesn't have to express. That's the power of the epigenetics. And I think the interesting thing is that it's the acidosis of the environment the cells are bathing in which turns that weakness on or off. That is the flick of the switch, is the acidosis, in my opinion. So I mean that's kind of another interesting point of view. I'm just going on here. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, no, this is excellent
Yeah, it's
information.
just amazing.
Thank you. It's very intriguing, and I just wanted to touch on that when you talked about the acids coming out and the burning, because that's what's been going on with my face.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I've talked with Gary on this too, and he said, your body will tell you. And I'm like, well, before this happened, I wasn't feeling anything. I didn't feel like I was going to go into a big healing crisis. But when we talk about this, and I remember my teeth have been really just super sensitive for months. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I started to have my skin, busting open, my lips busting open, and it burning like a mother.
Yeah.
And it burns. And I'm like, this sucks. But it makes sense because those acids are coming out. My kidneys, are just overhauled and they can't keep up. So that's kind of my weak point, is my face, my lips, and
And what happens is when the body creates a portal that opens up to the outside world, it will keep using that. So that's what's happening with you, is that as you've been working through the detoxification, the kidneys are a bit blocked up, your adrenals might be a little bit low, for instance. It's now got a space to get out in the face, and it's just going to keep doing that until these kidneys kind of come back online. Every time you flick the body into a detox phase, well, you've just now created a movement in the lymphatic system. It's got somewhere to go now. Your skin is a third kidney. So your kidneys are working, but they're working in the kidneys on your face. Just unfortunate. So you've just got to get your back kidneys working, and then they won't have to use the kidneys on your face.
Yes. But it's interesting because for years I looked like I was stung by bees on my legs. It was constant. And I was in dermatologist's office all the time. And of course, it was creams, salves, steroids, this, that, and the other. And it was constant. And I, for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's because of the body gets blocked up, like skeleton-wise, like you need to be adjusted, like you're blocked. Because it's interesting, when I've gone to my chiro and the areas that she's needed to adjust, and when it's been up here, she's had to adjust. When it's been freaking out on my legs, it's almost like things have been closed off.
Yeah.
And that's why they start to freak out.
Definitely. It makes sense, and that's why we use the Neuro lymphatic massage is a great tool to have up your sleeve, because it's a technique Dr. Morse taught us, but you can just work down the spine of a person as you kind of massage in a clockwise motion. You're stimulating the energy center in that area, and it runs right down the back of the spine, all the way from the top of the head all the way down the spine right to the lower back. And there's different points every way. So up here, it's working, maybe the thyroid, the parathyroid. It's working, in here, obviously shoulders and neck. But as you come down here, it's probably working through different, the heart and the lungs and that kind of thing. And as you come down the back, middle back, it's starting to work into kidneys and adrenals. And as you go down, it's working to the sexual organs and prostate and ovaries and things. And so you can start to kind of just wake these areas up and get a block that's blocked. You can open it and move it. You can start to, it's a similar thing. We just create the movement, because I do agree that it's obstruction of the flow of either blood, nerve, or lymph. Yeah. And it's the obstruction of the things that get stuck there. And it's just interesting about why that happens. And I believe as well that there's physical reasons why that happens, but there's also emotional. This is one of the things Dr. Morse talks about, and I use a lot in my teachings. I don't know if you can see that there, but these are basically the different levels of the body that we have, and we have different levels of our being. And Dr. Morse actually calls them different bodies. And so the bottom level, I'll just explain that here, is our physical body. That's, your bones and your tissues, the physical body that we have, and that's where we focus on the detoxification of the lymph and the blood. It's all the physical body. That's very important. We have to move that physical body. However, that what sits on the top of the physical body is what he calls the astral world, which is the emotional body. And so we're wearing a physical body. So we know that we're not our physical body. That's not who we are. We are a spirit who lives in the physical body. And the spirit comes into the physical body and is using this suit. It also comes in and it's wearing an emotional body that sits on top of that. And the emotional body is kind of overlaid on top of the physical body. So there's an effect that happens between the emotional body and the physical body. And we know that intuitively. If we sit here and you start to feel a sadness, you think about a loved one that you may have lost, or you think about something sad and you start to feel really heavy and sad emotions, you feel it in your physical body. You feel, oh God, a pain in the heart, or you feel like a lock in the stomach, a block, oh God, you feel it physically. So we know intuitively, and we know through different case studies and things that have happened, that the emotional body definitely impacts the physical. And we know that when you feel a feeling, you create that at a biochemical level. When your body feels great, you create hormones which are great. Every cell of your being now is radiating with beautiful hormones. The serotonin, all these wonderful hormones that come out. So that emotional feeling creates a physical chemistry at a cellular level. So that makes sense, but when we really think of it, we can see now that our body is physical and emotional, and those two work together. And so it makes perfect sense that emotional blocks, traumas, pains, angers, things that we haven't let go from the past, are constantly impacting different levels of our physical body. And this is something that was true for me during my Vipassana meditation. As you start to do the Vipassana technique, you find that different emotions and memories, because all emotions seem to be tied into a memory of some type, are locked into the body in different parts of the body. Different memories, different things. And there's different people who've written about this. People say, we hold fear in certain organs, and, anger in, maybe that we hold the fear in the kidneys, and perhaps we hold anger in the liver, and perhaps we hold different energies in the stomach. So intuitively, we can start to see how the emotional world that we live is impacting our physicality at a biochemical and a physical level. Edgar Cayce spoke about this as well, and he said that, for true healing to happen, first we have to have the soul level, the higher self level has to want to live. The person at the highest, deepest level of themselves, whether you call that the higher self or the soul, the spirit, they have to want to live. And then when that soul wants to live, it has to then go to the mind. Okay, they have to, right, in the mental world, they have to, the healing then happens in the mental world. And then it goes into the emotional world. The healing takes place in an emotional sense. And then finally, the healing manifests in the physical sense. So physical healing really does have layers. And this is what I've found in working in myself and in the people that I've been able to help, is that let's work on all levels simultaneously. Let's not just try and detox our bodies by doing a 21-day juice cleanse and then not think about our emotional world and not meditate and just continue to have fear running and have the churning of the mind, which creates churning of the emotions. But we're doing a juice detox and it just doesn't work. I don't know why this juice detox doesn't even work. I'm just so pissed off. This freaking juice detox doesn't even work. God. You know what I mean? Well, have a look at your physiology. Look at your emotions. Have you thought about letting go, your dad, what he did to you 50 years ago? Or are you going to keep carrying that around for another 20 years? Look at your anger in your body. Look at your mind constantly stressing and worrying. Do you think that has any role to play in your health right now? And so we start to heal all levels instantaneously. Yes, let's do the detox. Yes, let's switch over to live foods. Yes, of course. It's freaking obvious. This is a new awakening, but it's the starting point. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's the opening door that we have to work on the lowest level. Yes, cleanse up the physical body, remove the obstructions, get the toxins out, heal the kidneys, heal the adrenals, let's get the lymph moving. But now we have to instantly, at the same time, work on healing our emotional bodies. We have to let go of the pain, let go of the suffering of the past, let go of the unforgiveness of certain people. I talk about this often with my stepdad. I hadn't spoken to him for 10 years back in 2007, 8. And we had a big argument when I was 21. And we had a big fight, and I didn't talk to him for 10 years, and I was carrying around this anger and this resentment about what happened, and he's such a jerk, and what an asshole, I can't believe that. And I was carrying around that anger. I was telling somebody the story, 10 years later, and it was just as if it had just happened. The anger was still there, right there. I was still as pissed off, maybe more now, maybe more angry and bitter and twisted about it. And I'm like, that's not good. I know better than that. I'm carrying it around. Got to let it go. Got to find a way to freaking let that shit go. And so I had to go and, wrote a big letter out, forgiveness, gave it to my stepdad. It was hurting me. It was hurting my stepdad. It was hurting my mum because, he couldn't come to social functions. My mum had to come to birthday things alone. It was creating chaos for everybody, not just me, but everyone. And so I let that go, forgave that, moved on, and it was just an instant healing. As soon as we had a big hug, it was like the weight of the world just lifted off my shoulders. It was like, it's okay. But, I had a big list. I wrote out a list of all the things that were bugging me and all the things that I was upset about, and there was probably 30, 40 other things on the list that I had to work through. And that's what everybody has. We have these things that they're churning away at us, and they're the things that keep us up at night, 3 a.m. thinking about something, or having a dream or a nightmare about somebody, or, the body's doing that to tell you it's time to let it go. And that's what I have learned, is that as these emotions come up, I think of emotions like water, and water can exist in different states of frequency. Water can be frozen and ice, like ice in the body. That's what happens to old emotions. They get locked in like ice. They locked in deep down, frozen within us. We don't want to look at it. We don't want to touch it. They're just in there, and they make us cold. They make us freaking icy and cold and nasty to the world around us because we're holding on to them. And as we start to do the detoxification, what happens is that physical body kind of warms them up and starts to get this stuff moving. And now all of a sudden, it's flowing and it's turned into water. Now it's emotion coming out. Oh! And that's why people say, I can't handle the emotions on a detox. Well, that's just showing you what's going on within, because now the emotions are coming up and that you have a chance to work with them and deal with them. But it's very important, because what happens is as these emotions come up, it's like a window opens, a window of opportunity. You have the opportunity now there's 2 ways of dealing with it. 1, deal with it the same way you dealt with it your whole life. Avoid it, push it back down, not deal with it, freak out about it, react to it, lose your equanimity, have no awareness, blame the person, hold the victim energy, be extra pissed off, and then numb yourself with food and alcohol and cigarettes and drugs and whatever medication you get your hands on. That's one way which will continue to repeat the cycle of karma that you just created for yourself. The second opportunity is the window of opportunity that opens up to look at this emotion and to look at it. That's all you have to do. Just look at it. Just look at it. Oh my God, look at this. I'm freaking angry. I'm so sad. Oh my God, there's tears running down my face. Okay, look at it. Look at it. Just look at it. Don't react to it. Just look at it. Okay, tears. 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 Okay, there's emotion. I wonder what this is about. I wonder what is going on in my body that I'm releasing. No reaction, no reaction. And then it's something, a trauma will come up. Oh God, that happened when I was 7 years old. There it is. And you, again, have the opportunity to look at it. Just look at it. Have aware of it. Be aware of it. No reaction, no fear, no playing it out again. And as you look at this thing, you heal it. Because you're bringing your awareness. Your awareness is the God force. That's who you are, your awareness. You're a spirit. And you're bringing that awareness and focusing it in like a laser on the thing that needs to be healed. It's a healing modality to hold your awareness on something. And your awareness really at the deepest level is love. It's love. When you look at something, you look at a beautiful little baby, it's just love. You're looking at it, this thing, and you're looking at it. It's like, I wrote this thing the other day about, most people think we need to like slay our dragons. We need to go into the mountains and into the cave, and we need to get the sword out and kill the dragon and slay it. Have courage to kill it. And it's using the metaphor of war again and killing. And that's how it's not healing. Healing is walking up into the mountains with love in your heart, walking into that cave where the dragon is, and just looking at it and smiling and looking at that dragon with love. And just looking at it. And the dragon then stands up and he spits fire out and with all of its glory and fear, and we just keep looking at it. Just look at it. It's not even real. And just hold, like in Braveheart, hold, just hold and just look at the freaking dragon and send it love. That's all you have to do. No reaction. No reaction. The dragon comes and lashes at you, no reaction. Love, just blow love at it. And the dragon kind of gets confused because everybody in its whole life has been scared of the dragon. And when somebody just looks at it, it's like a glitch in the matrix. It doesn't know what's kind of going on. Look at it, look at it, look at it. No reaction, no reaction. Look at it, look at it, look at it, look at it, look at it. And then the dragon just stops. And it's healed. It's healed because the only thing that was creating that whole situation was the reaction to the dragon, the fear that you had from it, running away from it, hiding from it, putting it in the cave, running and never to look at it again. That's what caused the whole problem. Now you're just looking at it. With your awareness, with your love, knowing that you are infinite, knowing that nothing can hurt you. You're not your body anyway. Just because someone hurt your body when you were a 10-year-old girl doesn't mean that hurt you. You're a spirit, your awareness, that body, it's just a body. That body's changed. Every year your body changes, brand new cells. So that old body's dead. You got a brand new body every year. Every cell is replaced. Every cell is always transforming. They can't hurt your spirit, your awareness, the big part of you, the real you. But what I've learned is that through my experience is that we have these different levels of our body, the physical body, the emotional body, and we have like the mental body and the spirit body, the big self, the higher self. We can create blockages at any level, and that can create suffering for us. So for instance, blockage at the physical level, build up of acidosis, lymphatic congestion, blockage of the kidneys, suffering. Blockage at an emotional level, holding on to pain, holding on to anger, not letting things go, just carrying around all these old emotions, suffering. That can impact the physical body, that can impact the mind, mental body, they can impact each other. Let's say you have a good physical body, good emotional body. Now you're carrying around a mind which is out of control. There's blockage at the mental level. So if someone's thinking, like a guinea pig on a wheel, running, what happens now is that they've cut off from the higher self. Because the higher self, it speaks in whispers. Turn left. Turn left. And the mind's like, I'm going to turn right. Definitely turn right, turn right. What are we going to do? Whoa, turning right. And now you turn down the road and there's a huge like accident and there's problems and there's like a black ice on the road. The mental body gets so loud that we disconnect from the spirit body. And it doesn't shut up. It stops the flow of intuition. The mind can overpower all the levels. A stubborn mind, a negative mind, constantly thinking about fear and worry and anger and the victim energy and why did this happen to me, can create suffering at all levels. Even if you have a great genetic constitution, a wonderful body, you've been eating fruit on an island for the last 30 years, great body, physically, emotions are all good, but this mental body create suffering for you, can kill you. So we need to learn to like open up the doors on all levels, open up the obstructions on all levels, physical, emotional, mental, and allow the spirit, the life force to flow through, the higher self to step into the body. And then we start to live our life through feelings. That's the power spot, when we can feel our way through every moment, step by step. So many people ask me, what should I eat? What should I eat? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, shut up. You know what to eat. Just shut up. Stop thinking and stop asking so many questions. Walk to the farmer's market. Don't think. Don't write a shopping list. Don't have a book about what you're going to eat. Walk to the farmer's market and feel everything step by step. How do these oranges feel? Pick them up. Hold them in your hand. Do they feel good or do they feel bad? If they feel bad, put them down. If they feel really good and you get a buzz, buy a couple of bags of them. You go to the next place, you walk around, all of a sudden you see a glowing light where they're selling these melons and you just pulled over there magnetically. You feel like you want to go over there. Okay, go over there. Feel these melons and you load up on the melons. You don't have to think at all. I don't ever have a shopping list. You just feel your way through things. Your body will tell you what you need. There's some days you just feel like you want mangoes or papaya. It's clear. When you just shut up and you stop thinking so much, you stop talking so much, the mind is not at all powerful. The mind is very weak and it thinks it's the boss. It thinks it's really smart, but it's not. It doesn't know everything. It's not God. The secret is to learn to start to live our lives from our God force, which is the intuition. It's the higher self. It's the feeling. And we can literally go through day by day without having to think. The mind can be like I've explained this as a robot. A robot which has been programmed with a logic of fear. And all it is just fear, exterminate, oh my God, break down. And it's the robot mind that is just running a program, and the programmer was this fearful little child. Your mind was programmed as a fearful little, scared little kid trying to protect itself. And now it's running your life. You're running on software from 1975. How would your computer, your MacBook run today on a 1970 software? You know what I mean? We need to let all that shit go. We need to update our operating systems.
Well, Cheyne, I absolutely love you to death, and I wish we had all day to talk to you, but I have to cut out. I don't know if there's a way that you guys can continue.
Cool.
I would stay, but I've got to get to
You've got to go to work. Yes. Thank you so much for being on the call.
Oh my gosh, this was awesome, and I hope we have you on again very, very soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day at work. Do you want to keep going, Gary? Yeah.
Please do. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys.
Wonderful. Have a good day.
I can't wait.
Thank you. Bye. Do them another time.
How do people get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me on Facebook, so you can just type my name in, Cheyne Goulden, Goulden. You can also, I have a website which is being created at the moment, but you can go to my website for more contact details. So it's just my name, www.CheyneGoulden.com, spelled CheyneGoulden.com. I got some great videos on YouTube too, so you can just type my name into YouTube, Cheyne Goulden again. Maybe in the video we could just put a bunch of links.
Yes, I will. Yeah.
In, my YouTube, Facebook page. And I can put my email address, just my name, Cheyne Goulden, livefooddetox@gmail.com.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, mate, you have a great day.
You too.
All right, awesome.
You too. And,
Thanks for your time.
All right.
Okay, good
See
night,
everybody
everybody.
later.
Bye, everybody. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.